What's good everyone, it's your boy yadiiiigg, 4 eyes, 2 G's here, and today we're here to talk about Tory Lanez. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware, Tory Lanez, in the midst of everything that's going on in his career right now, just dropped a brand new album called DayStar. Now, we've got the first week sales back for this album, and there's no way to cut it, there's no way to be nice about it. This is a definite flop with these sales right here. However, I think there's a lot of interesting happenings around the release of this album that's kind of playing into this all, and I want to break it down and give my perspective on it, so let's go.
I'ma go switch it up, switching the location. I go now, pick it up, learning all the basics. I go out, lift it up, got a potent fragrance. Okay, mix it up, switch it and rotate it. Remember cold days, I was scheming in the basement. Hopefully I say it when I'm big and I make it.
Okay, first of all, let's just break down these numbers and then we'll kind of break down everything else around it. As you guys can see right here, according to Hits Daily Double, with their final chart for the week, Tory Lanez has sold 37k for this album. Now, as I said, there's no way to cut these sales, there's no way to be nice about it. This is a definite flop, especially when you compare it to his other album sales. As you guys can see right here, he sold 52k, 54k, 54k, and then just last year, he ended up selling 83k with the Chicks Take, which are pretty big numbers for Tory Lanez, to be honest. And then just a few months ago with the new Toronto, he sold 64k. So yeah, to be selling around half of what you're selling is generally not a good sign. And before we get into the whole Megan Thee Stallion Tory Lanez discussion, which I'm not going to dive super deep into, because if you guys have noticed, I haven't made a video on it up until this point. Out of respect to everybody involved, Megan's friend, Tory Lanez, etc., I just don't really feel comfortable speaking about this situation, and that's not really the kind of content I want to cover on my channel anyway. So yeah, I haven't spoken about it deliberately, but just know, obviously, if Tory Lanez did do what Megan Thee Stallion is alleging that he did, I take a hard stand against that, and I don't fuck with that at all. So I don't want you to think I'm kind of defending Tory in any way, shape, or form in this video, because I'm definitely not. Anyways, let's continue on. We just need to back it up firstly to earlier on this year. Now, as you guys can see right here, I think this is crucial to the narrative of this album and the sales, even before we get to the discussion of the Megan stuff. As you guys can see right here, in May of 2020, Tory Lanez came out as fully independent, which is a big move, especially in this climate, especially considering that Tory Lanez, as you guys can see, he's been signed to Interscope for a minute now. That means he's kind of had that major label push behind all of his albums and his singles. And it's important to say, some people like to talk down upon Tory. Tory has had hits. As you guys can see right here, he has more than a few plaques to his name. So yeah, for a major label artist who up until that point in his career is used to kind of having that major label push in order to get hit singles and these big sales, for them to then go independent, it kind of makes sense why these sales are kind of lower, because as he explained right here, the new Toronto 3, which was his most recent album before DayStar, was actually his last one on Interscope. So yeah, this new album DayStar was kind of like his first test and his first trial run at having an album being released independently. So yeah, that kind of makes sense why these album sales are kind of lower, even regardless of the Megan situation. Then we kind of get to what's been happening in regards to the whole Megan situation. Now, what I think is super revealing about this situation is how clearly the media has taken such a strong negative stance towards Tory and the effect that this is having on his public image, and I think the performance of this album. Now, this is something Tory posted on his story. As you can see right here, he says, "I've never seen verified publications come together with biased opinions for a smear campaign against an artist. However, I still have love for each and every one of you who continue to choose money over truth. My heart and character doesn't change because yours does." And as you can see right here, he calls out a bunch of media personalities and a bunch of media outlets for their coverage of him, which I've got up a couple examples and I'm going to go through right now. And before we go through that, guys, I just want to give a couple quick shout outs on the Instagram. You guys know how we come in. Big shout outs to Charlie.Kircher420 and also shout outs to TBTheo14. Much appreciated you two for following me over on my IG. If you guys don't follow your boy man yadiiiigg, make sure to go drop your boy a follow and show me some support over there. Always much appreciated. But let's get back to it. Okay, so the first one we need to break down is this article right here by Complex. Tory Lanez DayStar is much worse than just a terrible album. Now, personally, I don't think it's a terrible album, and I think to kind of judge the music in this way and say that the album is terrible is just kind of trying too hard, because the music isn't bad. You can have your own opinion on the whole Megan situation, and of course I kind of outlaw that situation, and I don't think Tory is looking good in that situation, but to call the album terrible, I think is a stretch, and this has been happening again and again. As you guys can see right here, even Anthony Fantano came out and made a video saying that he's trash. On top of that, Vulture, who I just referenced before, said, "For the love of God, do not listen to Tory Lanez's new album DayStar." Then High Snobiety came out and said, "Congrats on the most toxic album of the year. This is the last time we will cover Tory Lanez. Here's why. So yeah, there's very clearly been like a smear campaign against Tory Lanez as a result of this whole Megan situation. There is no question at all when we kind of look at the success of this album and their sales that this smear campaign has undoubtedly played a role, and kind of the whole tarnishing and ruining of his public image in general as a result of this whole Megan situation, in tandem with the fact that he's independent, has undoubtedly kind of ruined the success and the potential of this album, I think, at least, because I think the fact that he was independent just kind of made it even harder for this album to do well, because not only is he independent, but this is his first album without that Interscope push and without that Interscope promotion, so he's kind of going through that whole process for the first time. Then on top of that, this whole Megan situation just affected it even more. Now, on top of that, we also get to the discussion of playlisting. Now, this has been a huge debate. As you guys can see right here, there is no Tory Lanez song apart from his feature on the What's Poppin' remix on Rap Caviar at all, and basically in general, Tory Lanez has been completely blacklisted from all playlisting, all kind of pushing, all kind of promotion on these streaming platforms. Now, this is the question. Is this a result of him being independent and the fact that he's now independent and he doesn't have that major label push behind him, he doesn't have those connects, and he can't get his music on the playlisting and on Rap Caviar and all that, which, keep in mind, is not outside the realm of possibility? Or is this resulting from the Megan situation? Because we know we just saw Spotify and Apple Music take a very hard stand against 6ix9ine with them not giving him any sort of playlisting or any sort of promotion, and we know why 6ix9ine was so vocal about this. This is because we all know that playlisting is how the general mainstream consumer discovers music. So if your new album is not getting playlisted and not getting pushed on the streaming services, it's undoubtedly going to affect the sales and the streaming numbers. So yeah, that kind of like opens up the question, is the lack of playlisting and the lack of push and the lack of promotion on the streaming platforms for Tory's album a result of him being independent, so he doesn't have those connections to the streaming services and he's not able to get that push and promotion that he once had on a major label? Or is it a result of the streaming services, just like the 6ix9ine situation, taking a hard moral stance against Tory Lanez and his alleged actions against Megan Thee Stallion, and they're kind of saying, hey, we don't fuck with you, Tory, we're gonna actively blackball you from all playlists and not give you any promotion because we're just not fucking with you like that. So yeah, as you guys can see right here, from the independent situation that happened to the whole Megan Thee Stallion situation, which has undoubtedly ruined his public image and his public persona, there is a lot kind of surrounding the release of DayStar and these numbers we've kind of seen. Undoubtedly, I think regardless of both these situations, these numbers are a flop. Selling 37k for an artist like Tory Lanez, who has a social media reach that he has and is kind of like the name power that he has, undoubtedly a flop, and I'm not defending him in any way, shape or form, but it is definitely interesting to kind of note everything going on and how it's probably impacting his sales, because there is no way you could argue that the fact that he's independent and the Megan situation didn't impact his sales in this case. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about this in the comments below. It's definitely an interesting discussion. Also, if you haven't, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications, all that good YouTube stuff, and there are more videos of mine on screen right now. Make sure to check them out if you haven't.